Today we're going to be talking about all the different types of ships in Archeage and touch just a little bit on the fishing system too. Alright guys, so as I just mentioned, today we're going to be going over ships in Archeage. Now ships are a vital part of Archeage. There's so much content at sea, whether it's Kraken, Leviathan, Abyssal, Luskers, doing trade runs to Free Ditch, cross-continent trade runs. So much content revolves around ships and the ocean. So for new players out there, this video hopefully will give you a lot of advice and break down everything you need to know about ships. So starting off, we're here in Mirage. Mirage Isle is the place you can go to through the blue portals scattered throughout the world. This is where you get a lot of things like your housing, your vehicles, and especially for this video, your ships. We're over on the Knowin side currently, which is over here at the docks. As you can see right here in front of me is the first type of ship we're going to cover, the Clipper. This is the Harpoon Clipper. It costs 50 Gilder Stars, so it's not too bad. This is the ship you'll want to get straight away, as quick as you can really, when you have the Gilders to spare. That being said, there is a free Clipper you can get just by spending 50 proficiency on fishing tasks. We'll cover fishing later in the video, but that only lasts 3 days. You can see I have 4 hours left on mine. But this here is the Harpoon Clipper, so it comes with a harpoon cannon on the front and back. And on the other side, over on the Harani docks, you'll find the Adventurer's Clipper, which comes with one harpoon, but a cannon mounted on the side as well. Now Clippers, they're small, they're simple, they can fit about 6 people on them before they become too weighed down and they start to sink. You've already seen they can have cannons or they can have harpoons. Most people use harpoons because you can pull other ships out of ports, out of safe zones, things like that. You can also get boosters for them. They can be quite quick and nimble. They're just sort of your very starting tier ship, but they're the ones you'll probably see a lot of people use the most, especially at the start. So next up we're going to be covering the merchant ship. These are 500 Gilder Stars here. They're the same on both sides. There's not a Knowin in there or a Harani version. You get the design. You can see the construction materials there. You need a merchant schooner materials, 2 lumber packs, 3 fabric packs, and 3 iron packs. Now these are for anyone that wants to do trade runs, cargo runs, sunken ships, anything like that. If you're doing Kraken, you put the tentacles in these, things like that. 22 trade pack slots on these possible. You can also put cannons on the side, but there's not much point to that as far as I'm aware. They also have a radar on them, so you can see ships around you, so you can use them as scout ships. A lot of the time you'll see one of these up at Free Ditch without any packs on it, just looking for ships coming in, ready to ambush. 2 sails on it, so you can upgrade both of those, get it quite fast. Just a ship really for anyone that's doing runs. Not as common in my opinion as the galleons are. Galleons you need more of than you do trade ships, but you'll find guilds quite often running 2 or 3 of these ships at a time if they're a big guild, or solo players running one of these themselves late at night. But you'll see these at sea. This is what starts to combat a lot of trade ships. People trying to either protect their packs or other people trying to steal their packs. But if you're planning on doing commerce across sea, so cargo, things like that, whether it's for Dragon Stabilizer, Onyx Archeum Essence, or Gilder Stars, and you're not part of a big guild, or you just want to do that solo, definitely go for a merchant ship. Pretty early on you're going to want to get one of these. But they are 500 Gilder, so they are quite expensive. Next up, I'll talk about the galleons. There's 2 different types of basic galleons. I'll say basic galleons, more like small warships. I'll stick to small warships for these. So over here on the Knowin side with the Yeznan Cutter, which you can actually see right here. It's 500 Gilder, just like the merchant ship. Hop over here. There are a few things missing from this because it's the demo version. There's no steering wheel. And I'm pretty sure there's probably not a radar if we go up there. But this is the Knowin version of the galleon. I say Knowin version, it's on the Knowin side, and it's stylistically the Knowin version, but if you are Turanian, you can also get this type of ship. It's not locked by faction at all. But galleons are your warships. They'll have 4 cannons on either side at stock. There'll be basic cannons. I'll talk about the upgrade system in a little while as well, and talk you through the upgrades and things like that. But 4 cannons, you can also have mounted shields. They have a radar. This one has the radar up there, which you can climb the mast. 2 sails that can go up and down. You know, you unfurl them, just like on the merchant ship. Normally, these are slower than merchant ships. They can get a speed buff north and south that speeds them up a bit. But these are your big combat ships. This is what you see people do Luskers and Abyssal with. Kraken, things like that. You need these. These are your big damage output ships for sinking other ships and just combat related things like that. I'll head over to the Turanian side. You'll see a cut right there when I head over there. So, over here on the Turanian side, we have the Lutsong junk design. This is the Turanian stylized galleon. Again, not locked, so if you're a Knowin, you can also buy this style of galleon. Not one up on display for me to show you, but you can sort of see it here, especially if I zoom in, you can see the ship here. Captain wheel back here. Now, there are some benefits to this ship over the other one. You will see probably more of these about. Realistically, people will likely, unless you're a hardcore player, go for the one you think looks the best. But this ship does have a few benefits. The radar is not up above the mast. It's on the deck. So your radar user can get your group heals, things like that on the deck. They don't have to jump down, take full damage to join the fight. You also don't have to climb the masts to put the sails down. You could see that as a hindrance, whereas the other one, if an enemy boards a ship, they have to climb the mast to put the sail down. But for me personally, I prefer them being low on the ground. You can see it's more open and wider as well, so there's more room to move about. The repair spots, I can't talk tonight, I swear. The repair spots are also more convenient on this ship to reach. And you also have at the back here this platform, which I've seen some people use to tag things like Luskers and just stand on the back and shoot off of. And in my opinion, this is the more convenient ship and the nicer ship. But realistically, people are going to go for the one they think looks the best. But those cover the 2 small warships. I'm now going to have to go back over here to the ship we started on to cover the medium warship. Yeah, not a large warship, the medium warship. God forbid when we get a large warship in the game what it's going to look like. So this here is the Knowin Galleon. It's the medium warship. And you obtain this one a little bit differently. It's not bought with Gilder. Instead, you have to get 5,000 or 5,500, it's one of those two, Knowin Galleon scraps or fragments from killing Luskers, which are at the daily event, Lusker Awakening, in the middle of the ocean. It's going to take a very long time for anyone to get one of these. You could also get one from killing the Leviathan. The Leviathan drops a fully built one of these. That being said, there's been like 5 Leviathan kills ever, and they're always on dead servers, so good luck. But you'll start to see these very sort of late game, months and months into the server, unless there's a whale who pay to wins, but doubt we'll see that on here because no one can buy gold, supposedly. But yeah, this is the Knowin. So you've got way more cannons on this one than you do the small warships. You can see 5 slots up here, and if we go below deck, if I remember the way to get below deck, right here, the stairs, you can see spots for a couple more cannons down here. Way more boarding options though for this ship that people need to get on. It's more expensive obviously to upgrade and keep maintained because there's more spots. Someone just respawned it because they enjoy trolling me. God damn it. You also have more sails on this one. I believe there's 3 different spots for sails on this one to upgrade. So it's a more expensive to keep and maintain, but it's a way stronger ship. Way more HP, way more firepower, 2 figurehead spots, and we'll go over all this sort of stuff in a moment when we talk about ship upgrades. And it can also transform. You've also got here, you can row to make the ship go faster if you have more members on board your ship. Let me see if I can find the transform spot. Remember where the hell the spot to transform this ship is. I mean, you can see it in this untransformed state right now, actually, from what it was. So you can see there's now only 4 cannons down there, a lower and upper deck. You transform it, it goes into war mode, and you lose some of the firepower, but you gain things like speed. So here's the anchor spot as well on the front of the ship. There we go, he found the transform spot. I also got stuck on the anchor. So there you go, it transformed. You know, the cannon spots open down here, more cannon spots open up here. The deck's wider, but I believe this makes the ship slower and possibly more vulnerable. It's been a long time since I've been on an Knowin and played with an Knowin, so you'll have to bear with me with that. But can I drive this one around? It won't let me steer it. Feels bad. But yeah, that covers the 3 different types of galleon here in Mirage. There is also a 4th type, the turtle ship, which is got with Kyrios badges. I'll put an image up of that on the store right now so you can see it. That one sort of covers itself. You can make it so the roof closes, almost like a submarine where your crew is completely secure at the inside. But from what I've never actually seen one in play, but from what I know, it's not a great option for ships. You're much better off with the 2 standard types of warship or in a Knowin over that ship. So before I move on to talking about the fishing boat and the fishing system, I want to go over the ship upgrade system and just give you a sort of overview of all the different parts. I won't go into a massive detail here because I could be here for hours talking just about the upgrade system. And this video and the next few are already going to be very explainy, talkative videos. So, but basically, in 2 Crowns Ostera, and there's 2 in Diamond Shores, 1 for each side, you will find an Ezzy's Light. If you spawn your ship in these Ezzy's Light locations, you can take parts off of your ship, upgrade them, replace them, get different parts. I'm going to get really bored of people summoning and desummoning these ships. And basically give different effects, different buffs, different weaknesses to your ships. So the main thing here you're going to need is ship component regrade scrolls, which are made with this recipe right here. These rocks you can get from killing sea bugs or mobs down near the Hooters. I don't believe you can get them from Luskers, but I know you get the design bags from Luskers where you'll get a lot of the stuff we're about to go through. But you'll see in the crafting section here, and a lot of this is used at a shipyard workbench, which you'll find in sort of ports, areas like that. You can see them on the map. You'll find all these different options, you know, steering wheels, cannons, figureheads, boarding devices. Some things are important. So the boarding devices, for example, these sea breeze planks stop the enemy faction or people not in your party they stop them from basically being able to raise them and board your ship. So you'll have these on these ships. You'll have your basic Zephyr planks, and they'll sort of stop people climbing onto your ship, but you just have to use them and you'll be able to raise them and get on the ship. These sea breeze planks, they normally are expensive because the design is quite rare. The design right here is quite rare. However, enemy raids, anyone that's not in your raid won't be able to raise and lower these and be able to board your ship the conventional way with these. So these are pretty damn important. You also find things like the drum and bell. These are pretty, well, they're just not important. They're completely irrelevant. Most people will take these off of their ship to save weight. You've also got several types of scanners and radars in here. Monster radars are vital for things like finding the Kraken or certain things in the sea, like Luskers, things like that. You won't see those at the beginning. They'll come quite late, I think, if you see them at all. I believe Kraken now spawns in the set location, so you won't see many people really needing them to find it until people start doing Kraken and they take it away underwater somewhere. But you'll find tons of different types of cannons. The 2 main ones here are the large caliber, and I believe navals are what people use as well. I don't think anyone uses high speed anymore. Captain's useless, basic cannons useless, things like that. Mounted shields as well. You'll see some people will use these on one side of their ships. They'll have 4 cannons on one side, mounted shields on the other. They add health, things like that to the ship. And you can see equip effect also decrease the received damage to your ship, so these are always good to have. You've got different types of mast for speed and health. You've got different types of sails. Obviously, most people will just get a foresail and a mainsail, upgrade them, increase the speed of their ship. Figureheads are very important. They all do different types of effects. Like I said, I could spend a whole video going just over all these different, what they do, what their benefits are. Realistically, I could do a video on all that if people want me to, but this ain't it. This is not going to be that video where I go over every type of ship upgrades. But just know, these are in the game. Most people will sort of not get into a lot of them, but they'll get into a few for their own galleons or their merchant ships, things like that. They are important, and it's always good to know about this sort of stuff here. If anyone does have any questions about this sort of stuff, you can leave them in the comments. And if there's enough interest, like I said, I will make a video on that. But that being said, I think we should move on to the fishing boat and the sort of miniature guide on to fishing, or about fishing. So right here, as you can see, we've got the fish finder longliner design. It's quite a tongue twister, I'll be honest. 500 gilder again. There is another type of fishing ship, the Moby Drake, I believe it's called, which I do believe is better, but I think you have to spend Mana Storm crystals on it. But this is the basic fishing ship, 500 gilder, and the reason these are the best for fishers is because they have 2 fish hooks on the back for large fish, and they have a little pool in the middle of the ship for small and medium fish. You can sort of see the pool there and the fish hooks there. I believe they may come with a fish finder radar. It's been a long time since I've owned a fishing ship. It's been a long time since I've fished full stop anyway. But I believe they come with a fish finder radar to help you find fishing spots. If not, they do come with a normal radar as well. But most people, you'll sort of see these pull up to a sport fishing spot, and then 2-3 people sitting on these fishing away, hoping they don't get pirated out at sea. But if you're interested in fishing, you're going to probably want to get one of these. Sport fishing it can be done without it, but you'll be transporting 1 fish at a time, and it's kind of a waste of your chum and things like that. And we'll get into chum in a moment when we talk about fishing. But yeah, that's your fishing ship. 500 gilder, same as the other 2. Not really much more to talk about this ship. Just if you're into fishing, get one of these. So with fishing, there's 2 types of fishing: bait fishing and sport fishing. Bait fishing is the much easier and cheaper one, but obviously profits and things like that are much less, especially now that regrade scrolls aren't such a big deal. But to get started with fishing, you're obviously going to need a rod. So if we go into here and we search for fishing rod, or in fact, instead of that, we can just go to harvesting fishing equipment and see all the rods here. All of these rods craft with different handicrafting proficiency. So if you're not into handicrafting as well as fishing, you'll have to buy these off the auction house or get a friend to craft them. However, the basic fishing rod requires no proficiency in handicrafting, and you can use straight away with fishing. Now, the different rods will all have different damage values and things like that for sport fishing, but for bait fishing, the only perks, I believe, is the speed of which you catch things. You may also get higher grade fish more often with a better rod, but as far as I know, that's more to do with proficiency than the rod itself, and the rod only speeds up your cast out and catch rates. So with bait fishing, you're also going to need worms. Worms are got with worm compost, which is here in the vocation store. You plant this, you harvest it, you get worms. You can also buy worms from the auction house or buy worm compost from the auction house. Usually they're pretty cheap, and all you need to do then is find out where you want to fish. So with bait fishing, it relies pretty much on 2 things: temperature and water type. So you've got all different temperatures: subarctic, arid, temperate, tropical, things like that. And then you've got still water and salt water. So an example here is Silent Forest. Here you've got a temperate zone and you've got a still water lake. It's not salt water because it's not the ocean. Here in Villanelle, you've got a river, which is still water, and you've got the ocean here, which is salt water. The reason this is important is because every temperature type and then type of water will give you different types of fish. And with bait fishing, you want more of the same type of fish: 100 basic, 20 grand, or 3 rare. You then process these into Dawn Lake Light Essence. Now, Dawn Lake Light Essence, if we go into our folio here and search it, so I'll just search for Dawn Lake, you can see it's crafting. It's related to crafting all of these different things. So storage chests, the vehicle, which I'll cover in my vehicles video in a couple of days, coolant for vehicles. You also got beehives it's used in, your regrade scrolls. It's used in a lot of sort of not technically like things that are going to be needed a ton at the start, as they've now taken it out of, regrading is now less important, but it is still going to be used and it's still going to be useful for some players. So it is still going to be somewhat profitable, I believe, to bait fish, especially on the side of sport fishing, but sport fishing is where the big money comes in. That being said, sport fishing is also more dangerous and more difficult. So sport fishing, with that, you'll go out into the ocean and you'll find an area with seagulls floating around it. I'll put a video up on screen of an area. I'll go out and find one in a moment. But you'll find a zone with seagulls flying around it. It'll just say school of fish, something like that. What you then need to do is get chum. And the way you get chum is from crafting it. So we'll search chum here. You need a chum bucket, search worms, and it's ground grain. And basically with that, you then chum the spot, and I believe it's half an hour that spot becomes active. Although I believe it may have been changed. I haven't fished for a very, very long time. So there's two versions here. Either it lasts half an hour like it used to, or there's only a set amount of fish in that zone. So the more people there fishing at it, the quicker it will despawn. It's one of those two versions. I'd love to authenticate that for you guys, but unfortunately I can't go out and fish on the PTS because I don't have the resources to do it at the moment. It ends in a few days. So, but it's one of those two versions. And what you do then is you get your fishing boat out, you fish, you catch a fish, and with this, basically the fish will spawn. I'll try and find some footage of it that I can put up for you, but a fish will spawn, and this is where you start ticking damage. If you equip a fishing rod, you'll get a set number of skills that you'll use, which corresponds to the skills on the fish's hotbar, or the fish's health bar. You'll use those skills, you'll deal damage over time to the fish. When the fish's health bar reaches 0, you swim into the water, pick up the fish, put it in your boat to then take back to one of the fish stands, which is scattered all over. There's one on Friedrich, there's one in most of the major cities. Villanelle has one, Yini has one, Solis has one. There's some in Diamond Shores. I think there may even be one in one of the Aurora zones, but I could be wrong about that one. But you'll go to one of those, you'll hand it in for gold, you'll get gold back. It does cost labor to hand in, as well as labor to cast your rod out and things like that. But as far as I'm aware, it is still a decent amount of money to sport fish. That being said, it is dangerous. Obviously, you're out in the open ocean, which is constantly at war. You can always PvP out in the ocean. There will be pirates looking for you with their radars, things like that. So a lot of the time, you'll see a lot of people with their fishing boats around. You'll see a galleon up, scouting for other ships trying to come and sort of raid. And you'll just see ships scatter. The second an enemy warship is spotted coming towards a fishing spot, they'll scatter. They'll just completely scatter in all directions. But yeah, that pretty much covers fishing. Obviously, it's been a long time since I've fished myself, so I can't go into a ton of detail about it. But that's the basic premise of fishing. You will see people doing fishing raids, I believe, just trying it out. Fishing is very relaxing, I'll say that. And also, one extra thing, every Saturday there is the Fish Fest competition here in Mirage. So you'll see at, I think it's 6 PM, but it depends on what server you're on and your time zone and things like that. You'll see people come to Mirage. They'll go and swim out to these platforms out here in the ocean. They'll get given a rod and a certain amount of lures. You can buy a better rod and you can buy more lures here. But your actual fishing gear doesn't matter. And they'll basically try and catch fish in this area here for an hour. And at the end of the hour period, sort of, you'll see here sport fishing, there's a results board tallied up. And the next day, everyone gets sort of prizes. Now, this is good. Rank 1 gets 1,000 gold plus things in here. Rank 2, 500 gold. Rank 3, 300 gold. 4 to 10 get 50 gold. So obviously, you want to try and get rank 1. You want to try and get that 1,000 gold, for an hour's work. It's nice, but it's sort of RNG based, it's luck based. I'm not certain if proficiency comes into it much, other than speed of catching, damage done, things like that. But I'd imagine in some way, if you spent your time fishing, you'll do better off here. But it's always worthwhile, even if you're not a fisher, to come here every Saturday and just do this event. Try and get some free gold or some fisher coins or something like that. And you do get to sell the fish you catch for gold anyway, so you're going to make a little bit of gold even if you don't win one of the big prizes. But yeah, that covers ships and fishing. Not super detailed, but it sort of is an overview of all the different parts and sort of what they do. Hopefully it has helped some of you guys, especially you new guys that had no idea about any of this stuff. If you do have any other questions, please do feel free to leave them in the comments down below, and I will try and answer them to the best of my ability. If you do want to see things like an actual guide on fishing, me going out fishing, things like that, do let me know. I'll be happy to look into that once the servers actually release and go live. Same with a guide to actual boats. Once I get my ships, I'll be able to show you guys that system more in depth as well. But until then, guys, thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. If you want to see more from me, hit that sub button. Like I said, I've got a guide on housing coming up soon and a guide on vehicles coming up soon, as well as a general tips video for starting players coming right before the server's release. But yeah, until next time guys, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you all later.